Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park.
Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to dominate.
I like death.
Greetings, fools, and welcome to minute 64 of Do You Want to Party, the Movies by Minute podcast for the 1985 groundbreaking horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy, and joining us for this episode is a talented makeup artist that I strive to emulate.
Hello, this is Carol. Carol Cowan.
There you go. Hello, Carol. Hello, Carol. Welcome back to the show. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
It actually hasn't been too long of a time between us actually recording things, but the episodes have been spaced out a little bit and whatnot. So, we're just going to get right into the beginning of this. So this particular minute is going to start with the final knot being knotted, and it ends with, how does that make you feel? So we witness the half-corpse being secured in place by the mortician Ernie. Her head looking around at Bert, who is brandishing his trusty lead pipe. Her fingers slightly flexing. A hollow-sounding whispering noise emanating from her lipless mouth. Once he's satisfied with his job, Ernie straightens up. His face slick with sweat, evidence pooling on the soon-to-drop drip at his chin. His eyes look down at his subject for study. Spider has leaned too close to the head of the mostly skeletal female form. Her torso separated from her lower half beyond her ribcage. The vertebrae of her spine twisting back and forth as if still controlling her missing waist and legs. Sensing the closeness of a fresh meal, her head shoots upward, jaw gaping open in an attempt to bite at the quick-reacting spider. She hisses during her failed attempt. Snapping into defense mode, Spider cocks back his arm as he readies to bring his sledgehammer down on the creature responsible for exterminating another of his friends. But before he can carry through, Ernie does his best to block Spider's intentions, not only by grabbing the now intentional weapon, but tries to alleviate Spider of his fears.
Don't be afraid.
Spider announces his plans if things escalate further.
I'm busting in the damn head.
After some heavy breathing, he repeats his earlier concern about the restraints.
Man, you sure that thing's tied good?
But without answering, Ernie goes into intel mode and requests confirmation of auditory understanding.
You can hear me.
His face a mix of fear and exhilaration. The female creature stretches her head towards him as she sends out a drawn-out hissing answer.
Yes.
With that information, Ernie glances to Bert before continuing his questioning. His nerves on high alert as he nervously asks for more information about their consumption of humans.
Why do you eat people?
She moans a response that corrects his inquiry.
Not people.
And sets him straight with her kind's actual go.
Brains.
Her spinal column jerks to the side. Her claw-like fingers curl into a fist, making Ernie jump back slightly. Ernie reiterates her choice of substance.
Brains only.
She sighs her positive response.
Yes.
Then, now glancing towards Spider with his bulbous eyes, he questions the reason.
Why?
In a haunting howl, the slightly mummified face of the woman responds.
The pain.
Her still bright blue eyes staring up at the ceiling. Her head haloed by her long, once white, now dyed by blood red hair. Needing more clarification, Ernie presses on.
What about the pain?
She briefly glances at the questioning man, then reveals the true reason for her and her fellow creatures' hunger.
The pain of being dead.
The answer of which shocks and overwhelms Ernie. He gasps slightly, processing the information. With a nervous laugh, he relays his hypothesis.
Hurts to be dead.
With a sad look in her eyes, she relays the constant state of physical sensation.
I can feel myself rot.
Her spine clinks against the metal surface that she's secured to. Fluid making a small pool leaks from its end. Ernie leans back in towards her for more clarification about her choice of food.
Eating brains. How does that make you feel?
Again, he jumps back, this time as she's opening her hand. She starts to sadly moan about the effects of consuming the gray matter, and that is where we end this particular minute. So one of the main reasons that I brought Carol in for this particular episode is because Carol, in her one of her hobbies, one of her many hobbies that she has, is doing like special effects makeup and all that sort of thing. And probably of my personal friends that I know, she is probably the most skilled at doing that sort of thing. I do have others that can do it as well, and I also dabble in it as well. But Carol has done some phenomenal makeup jobs over the years and all that sort of thing. So I brought her into, we're going to discuss a little bit about the half corpse in this particular sequence and all that. So what are your impressions of it? Because again, you've watched this movie for the first time for this podcast. So when you first saw it, like prior to this, did you know about the half corpse? Had you seen any sort of images of her and all that sort of thing? Or
No, I don't think I had. But as soon as I saw her, what she reminded me of most was the Crypt Keeper.
It's a very Crypt
Do you remember
Keeper
the Crypt
face.
Keeper?
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that is true. It's except
Yeah.
for instead of a brown, she's a green. She has
Mhm.
a little more features than Crypt Keeper does, but yeah, no, definitely, especially with like the white long hair and whatnot, the
Yeah.
lipless mouth
Yeah.
and whatnot. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yes. Mind you, the Crypt Keeper is a little more advanced animatronic puppet than we have the half corpse and all that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
again, we're
Maybe a
also
little,
dealing.
maybe a little higher budget.
Yeah, just a little, just a little. Yeah,
Maybe,
probably the amount that they spent on this movie is how much they did to make the Crypt Keeper to begin with. Mind you,
probably.
it is a $4 million budget, so I highly doubt Crypt Keeper cost $4 million. But again, in the previous minute, we found out that they brought in Tony Gardner was brought in to not only design but to make the half corpse. And apparently they brought him in a couple of days before they even shot the sequence. So he had a limited amount of time to actually build it. They actually borrowed him from Rick Baker, who he was working with Rick Baker's crew and all that sort of thing.
Oh
And
yeah.
the production designer, William Stout, had called up Rick and said, hey, is there any way you can lend him to us for a little bit to do some moonlighting, in his words, William Stout's words, to moonlight with his, and sent him over. And yeah, apparently he got there like a couple of days later. He basically, here you go, and like they're all like, oh my god, that's fantastic. So yeah, so
Amazing.
yeah, it's a fantastic thing and all that sort of thing. I mean, Tony has gone on to do other things. He's done a lot of work with pretty much almost everything Chucky, like Child's Play related, is
Oh,
his,
okay. Yeah.
and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of the designs, especially like the broken down versions and the other characters they added on later on, like Tiffany and their son, whose name Glenn. Ha ha ha! I was about to say the name escaped me, but no, it did not escape me. And whatnot. So, and he's also done some other stuff as well. But yeah, so he was brought in to do this, and then it was so. So what do you think of this design as it is? Like,
For the 80s, yeah, it's very well done, especially considering it was done in 2 days.
yeah,
You know,
exactly, yeah.
the
Again,
putting it
this is also,
together. Yeah,
yeah,
I can't imagine.
this is also information from Dan O'Bannon talking about a commentary track like 10 years after it. So whether or not it was only like a couple of days, but again, William Stout seemed to have said the exact same thing. It seems it was a very small
Yeah.
window of time for him to either make it, or maybe he was already working on something, decided, hey, I was working on this sort of thing. I don't have Tony Gardner's point of view of this situation, but again, it was just how it came about from the commentary track exactly is the information that I'm getting for how he came onto it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wondered, is it animatronic or is it strictly puppetry or a combination of both?
I would say it's a little bit of both. So yeah, so according to William Stout's part of the commentary from the previous episode, yeah. So underneath the metal table is both Tony Gardner, who is controlling the head and the hands of the creature, while
Okay.
William Stout himself is underneath controlling the spine and had a syringe to pump the the fluid out of it and all that sort of thing. The spinal fluid.
Oh,
It's called
okay.
spinal fluid, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently there
Yeah.
was those two
Yeah.
guys underneath it and all that sort of thing. So whereas the head, the eyes obviously moved within its thing, but without any lips, the it was more of a hand puppet, right? So the mouth was
Okay.
designed as a
Yeah, it
hand
was
puppet,
all
from what
right.
you can tell, and especially when the head something like reaches out, like really the neck really extends and all that sort of thing, pushing out. And again, when I described a halo of hair, that covers a lot of ground for when you can
Yeah.
push through a puppet.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you understand how puppetry works and all that sort of thing. So he's obviously got some sort of grip that allows to open and close the hands because they open and close individually and whatnot. So he's obviously controlling that with one hand and with his other hand through that, or how the eyes. Again, with some puppets, you could control the eyes with a little bar between the eyes in the back of the head, and you
Yeah.
just move it
Yeah.
one way and the other and all that sort of thing. Again, there's not a lot of animation to anything other than its eyes and its mouth. But again, so it's obviously some sort of hand puppet and all that. And again, whatever rigged up system of pulleys that they have to open and close the hands. So and all that. And then again, underneath him is just William Stout holding, like flipping the spine back and forth and
Yeah.
pumping out
Yeah. Exactly.
the
Hmm.
fluid and all that sort of thing. But again, like you said, 1985, so this would have been 1984-ish when it was filmed and all
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely a surprising thing. And what I keep mentioning about this is it's also different than any of the other featured creatures that we've seen in this movie.
Yes,
It,
very much.
it's the one thing that stands out with this movie is that every creature that they introduced that is a featured character is different than the last. Like we started off with Yellow Man, and then well, technically we started off with the half dogs, which is something you've never seen before.
Yeah. That was disturbing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the Yellow Man, and then you have Tarman. Next up was a very simple Rod, the creature coming out, the "Do you want to party?" in
Yeah.
the which is just a skeletal form with a mouth, and like the mouth drops open and the eyes open up, and that's all
Yeah.
that does. Which if you look closely enough, you can actually see the wires opening and closing,
Oh,
like going
really?
sliding up and down, all that sort of thing. Yeah, if you pause it at the right moment, you can catch that. And then you get to the legless guy who is the gentleman who was actually a triple amputee. He was missing one arm and both of his legs.
Oh.
That was feasting on one of the ambulance drivers outside
Hmm.
of the back of the embalming room when Ernie goes to see, hey, where's the ambulance guys? So that was a totally different one as well. And now we have this introduction of this gorgeously created puppet of the half corpse and all that sort of thing. So it just goes to show that not they're not pulling any punches. Like
Yeah.
they're putting everything that they can do into this movie, and it
Yeah.
shows. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So over on the commentary track, again with Dan O'Bannon, the writer director, and William Stout, the production designer. William Stout finishes up the details of the half-corpse being puppeted from underneath by Tony Gardner, who created the creature and controls the head and arms. And William Stout himself was in control of the spine and the syringe to leak out the spinal fluid. Dan O'Bannon points out that they dropped down the camera to show off the twitching spine. William Stout says it was a real hands-on production. Dan O'Bannon points out how the half-corpse's hair is red because of being dyed from the blood, and it was originally white. Then he's more than happy to point out the twitching spine again. He points out how it's all foam rubber and clean to the touch, and not as nasty as it looks. When William Stout starts talking again because of the brain-eating reason, how at the time research was being done about endorphins being a natural painkiller for that the body produces.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, I'm wondering if that's the reason why they got the idea that the brains are gonna like sort of
Yeah, exactly.
stay off the pain and all that sort of thing. But that's where pretty much the commentary ends for that particular minute. So according to the script, which again, we're dealing with a story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, and we're dealing with the revision from October 1983. And this is based on a story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Rickey, and Russell Steiner. Interior embalming room, night. Ernie gets some rope, and they wrap it around and around the table, thoroughly tying the corpse so that it can't get away. Meat comes in to join them while they're doing this. Once again, this version of the script has two name changes. If I ever mention the name Meat, we are actually referring to Spider. And if, well, it does not get said in this particular minute, if I ever say the name Dee Dee, we're actually talking about trash. Okay, Ernie turns on the bright light over the table, illuminating the half-corpse in all of its hideousness. The half-corpse looks back at them with heavy-lidded, junky eyes and a small smile. Meat, are you sure it's tied securely? Ernie, I don't see why not. They're no stronger than humans. Bert, nervously, well, Ernie, I don't understand what you want to do with it. I mean, what are you doing? Ernie, I want to examine it. Ernie leans over the corpse and stares at it. Ernie, to corpse, do you hear me? Shockingly, the corpse speaks. Corpse, yes, I hear you. Ernie shoots the others a triumphant look. Ernie, to corpse, why do you eat people? Corpse, not people, brains. Ernie, surprised, brains only? Corpse, right. Ernie, why? Corpse, the pain. Ernie, surprised, what about the pain? Corpse, the pain of being dead. Ernie, it hurts to be dead. Corpse, yes. The humans stare at the corpse and each other for a moment. Digesting this piece of information, Ernie, finally, so what does eating brains have to do with it? And that's where we catch up with this particular minute of the movie. So that was a little bit of what happened at the end of the previous minute. It just like full through and all that sort of thing. But again, the questions are a little different. The setup is a little different. The delivery is a little different than the final version. Obviously, your particular minute didn't have Bert and Spider and all that talking and whatnot, which is an add-on from the previous minute that was a little more than what I read on the script. All right, so after that, we're going to do the work print comparison. And what it is when you finish filming an entire movie, you bring all the pieces that you have shot together into one giant master version of the movie. So then what you do is you take the work print and you chop it down to get to a final version, which is what we get as our final version. In comparison, we are currently dealing with minute 63 to 64 of the final version, whereas in the work print, we are working with minute 74:28 to 75:40. So this has a little bit more footage in it than normal, which is always a nice thing to see when you're a lifelong fan of a movie to discover all this new stuff. It's sometimes extra scenes or extended scenes or different takes on scenes. Also, a lot of the sound effects are not there, so you hear things that you wouldn't normally hear, or Conversation gets cut off because the punk music soundtrack like plays over it and all that sort of thing. You have no idea what anyone's saying and all that because they then cut away, but you get to see the whole scene in the workprint. So this particular one, the tying down of the half corpse is longer and the shot pulls way back. There's no low shot to see a spider almost bitten, as it's covered in a shot where Bert's back is to the camera. This version, Ernie answers Spider's question about the security of the rope, as Ernie uses the no stronger than humans. That doesn't appear in the start of the sequence like it does in the final version. Also, Bert's question from the final version is here as well. Ernie's question is from this angle, as well as finally cutting to a low shot when the half corpse tells them not people brains. An obvious different voice is being used day of, but Cherry Davis, the credited voice, is added later. Additional to Cherry Davis is she provides the voice of Woody Woodpecker, not only Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988, but also a 2014 animation called Woody Woodpecker's Colorful World Live. That's pretty much where the work print ends to catch up with this whole entire minute. So we have a little more footage in the shot that we see where it's again Bert in the foreground and in the background is Spider and Ernie. They have a conversation where the audio from that conversation gets overdubbed into the sequence where a second before basically your minute starts, they're tying down the half corpse where you don't see the actual actors talking, so you just hear a voiceover of them, and that's where those questions are lifted from, is from that sequence and all that sort of thing. So it's cut out, that angle is cut out from the final version, and like I said, they use the audio in a different portion of the movie. So that's again hack and slash editing and all that sort of thing. You steal from here and put in there and all that sort of thing to enhance it. Again, a lot of the insert shots that there's like I said, the spider pulling back from the half corpse trying to bite at him is not a close-up shot like it is in the final film. So they obviously go back and shoot a whole entire sequence where that low camera is there. But they do eventually do shoot it, because in the work print there is the low shot and all that sort of thing. So I don't know why they don't edit it. I guess they just shot it as a long scene and then edited it in later and all that sort of thing. But that's how that goes for this movie and all that. All right, so on that note, that's about all that I have to pretty much bring into this game about this particular minute. Anything else you want to say about this particular minute there, Miss Carol?
Well, actually, I was reading something interesting about it,
Oh,
about
yes?
Ernie's character, that he was intended to be an escaped Nazi in hiding, and that he was disturbed by the idea that the dead felt pain. It was supposed to be not just the fact that everybody's going to be dead eventually, but probably he was responsible for a lot of deaths.
Yes.
So there's a lot of nuance to that.
For sure. I mean, they don't. If you're not paying attention, they don't come out and say it right away. Ernie does use German phrases throughout the movie. The decor of his work area in the embalming room itself has got Nazi advertisements all over and all that. The fact that he shares a name with an actual known Nazi. Dan O'Bannon basically put it out there, but didn't want to completely commit to it and all that sort of thing. He didn't want it to be obvious. He didn't want it to be swastikas and all that sort of thing.
Well, no, he's supposed to be in hiding.
Exactly. Where he couldn't, so the astute of the audience who see it notice all the stuff and all that sort of thing. Even his sidearm is very prominent to be a sidearm of Nazis and all that sort of thing. But again, the bleached blonde hair and whatnot is also a trademark and whatnot. But again, Dan O'Bannon has never, from anything that I've said, they've just put that stuff out there, and and no one's saying blatantly that he was a Nazi. They just put out the whatever the idea of it being and all that.
Yeah.
The fact that he works in a crematorium and all that sort of thing
Yeah.
also is added to it and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And yes, but yes, the idea of him realizing that after death you still feel stuff is definitely would be disturbing to almost anyone. So
Yeah.
yeah. So while they don't blatantly come out and call Ernie a Nazi, you can pretty much surmise that yeah, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something we
All right.
don't really think about anymore that much
Well,
because
we try not to. Let's put it
there
that way.
aren't
It's
survivors
yeah.
anymore,
Yeah, exactly,
Not many,
exactly.
yeah, Nazi survivors.
All right, so on that shiny note, we're going to wrap up this particular minute. Do you have anything that you want to promote there, Miss Carol?
The way I want to promote. No, I just I miss doing the makeup at the conventions and just haven't done it in a long time. Yeah,
Me too.
really miss
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully getting more into it the closer we get to Halloween season, which we're actually in Halloween season right now as we are
Yeah.
recording near the end of August and all that sort of thing. Halloween has been with us for about a month and a half now, which is always a
Yes.
good thing to
Yeah.
see. Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Carol, for sitting in for this particular minute. I want to thank the audience for joining me as well. Look, if you're a fan of the Return of the Living Dead, you're obviously listening to this podcast because of that. There's a good chance that you know somebody who also likes the movie as well, and they probably get a kick out of this particular show as well. Obviously, you're all the way up to minute 64, so you're obviously interested in what we're going to be talking about each episode. You know what? Point your friends to this podcast as well. It would really help us out and all that sort of thing. Just to mention that the first like 5 or 6 episodes are a little bit on the wonky side because it's just me, myself talking to the ether and all that sort of thing, so it's not as entertaining. Once I start getting co-hosts, it gets better, and I can now actually kind of announce at this point that well, we have already have Alan Trotman and Tom Matthews take part in helping out with episodes, which are fantastic for those gentlemen to help me out and all that sort of thing. I actually just got recorded an episode with John Philbin as my special guest host that is going to actually be released in about 2 weeks from this particular episode and all that sort of thing. So, and I've just I'm in correspondence with Miguel Nunez Jr. to actually join me as well. So, look, it's exciting. If that doesn't bring you in, then all right, there you go. But I've got a bunch of cast members coming in, and hopefully, uh, got a few more months to go. I'll be able to get at least 2 or 3 more. So, once again, Carol, thank you for joining me for this episode. Thank you, audience. And I got nothing else to say except see you next Wednesday. You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want to Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends. Not too bad, not too bad. Just did another email with yet another actor from the podcast, so that's kind of
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah, so I've now got Spider coming on board. So Miguel Nunez is like, yeah, let's do this.
Great.
His email too, like I sent out a long email explaining the whole entire thing like a month and a bit ago. And then this past week I went, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna the 3 people that I haven't talked to yet, I'm gonna like just put out a like, hey, just in follow up to that previous message and all that sort of thing. And then today he got back to me while I'm at work, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So, so that's basically all the men that that I'm willing to have on the show have taken part. Now, if I could just get
Mm.
any of the women to show up, that would be great. So yeah, her head. Mm-hmm. That's not a word. Ah, yes, it is. Okay. Yeah. I realized no, I misspelt the word that I wanted to say, and I'm like, nope, that's not what I. Oh yes, that's what I was supposed to say. Okay. The tying down of the half corpse is longer in the shot is why can I not read my own? I mean, I can clearly see what I'm saying. For some strangers, I just can't say it.
Rented lips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. These are going back to the shop. I mean, that's ridiculous. The tying down of the this is fun.